Hey everyone, Eric Gleich here. Just wanted to do a quick walk around video of the new 2025 Ski-Doo 600 XRS competition package. Did just pick it up not too long ago here, so wanted to go through some of the key features of what the competition package means as it relates to a standard XRS or even just your normal trail models, and wanted to walk you through some of the new features here. So here is the new sled, just sitting in the trailer here, ready to start wrenching on this, but wanted to walk through what the sled looks like in stock form. We'll do another video coming up on what modifications I'll do to this for cross-country racing. Pretty much out of the box, it is ready to go. If you did want to buy one of these and show up to a cross-country race, you'd be more than competitive. What we kind of go through for these sleds brings it to that next level, but honestly, these are more than capable machines for cross-country racing, just getting into it. So highly recommend if you're looking at cross-country racing that this is the model to go with. And honestly, you'll be competitive pretty much out of the box. But wanted to highlight a couple of new features here for 2025. We do have the new RAS RX front suspension for this. So essentially what we're going to be looking at here is from 2024, we do have a new spindle that is a little bit taller and has more of an angle to it, as well as the bottom A-arm. Can't really tell here, but it is actually curved a little bit. So what this really looks for is having a flatter plane when you're going through different corners. And what that means when you have a flatter plane is it's more controlled and less likely to get that nervous, twitchy feeling that kind of the Ski-Doos are known for as you're going through the corners. So hoping that this will help alleviate that issue and really make this a handling machine. Again, here on the front end, we kind of mentioned the new spindle and A-arm design. We do have on this competition package a Kashima-coated Pro 40 shock that also has high and low speed compression. So the standard XRS is going to be a non-Kashima coated, I think it's a Pro 36 shock. And it also only has 3 compression adjustments on available to you, versus this having essentially that high-low speed compression, so we can control and have a lot more adjustability to this shock. One other thing to mention here about the new front end by Ski-Doo for 2025 here is actually going to be the sway bar. So the sway bar connect linkage and then the sway bar itself, it's a much thicker material, which is something that it should help this sled corner a lot flatter. It just gives a stiffer connection from side to side to help reduce that body roll. And then we can also see this connect is actually a lot shorter than what we've had in the past. So really looking forward to testing this new front end out. I haven't personally tried it yet, but from everything I'm hearing, it's quite the weapon. So as we walk around the sled here, continuing on to see some of the differences. So we do have actually a shorter riser block on the competition model versus what you will see on your standard XRS or standard trail models. The primary thing here is when you're racing, especially doing more ice type racing, you will want to be lower on the snowmobile. You get better control versus having a higher riser block kind of keeps you more disconnected with the snowmobile. So a lot of people think with racing, you want a higher riser bar or higher riser block, but that's kind of contrary to what racers actually prefer. Me, myself being shorter, around 5'8", I prefer having this shorter block, and honestly, for me, I actually will run a straight out bar where we won't have this rise, so it'll be even lower than what you'll see here. But just a nice subtle feature for the ergonomics of Ski-Doo for racers on this competition model. Staying in the cockpit here itself, new for 2025, we do have a redesigned control panel for heated grips, and then the mode and setting for the actual gauge cluster itself. So idea here just is a lot simpler, cleaner, and easier to navigate through all the different options here. And one thing to note on the competition package is that this button right here, at least on the 600, will only get you reverse. There is no electric start here on a competition package. We do have to pulling the cord over to start this snowmobile. Manual start. Biggest thing here is to save on the weight of a battery, as well as the starting gear on the primary clutch is not on there as well. So we're reducing some rotational mass there. So continuing on, one of the key differences here as we're walking back to the back of the snowmobile is actually going to be the rear suspension itself. So the Ski-Doo XRS competition package here actually has a different skid frame than the standard XRS. And looking at a lot of the differences, they're not exactly published, but looking at some of the different part numbers and comparing the XRS skid versus the XRS competition package is going to be looking at the rear axle. We have a lot beefier rear wheels, and we do have 4 wheels as what the XRS would have, but the lower trail models would only have 3, as well as we have a lot thicker rear axle in any essential connecting points as part of the skid, and as well as where the front shock mounts in the skid is going to be a thicker material, and really that's just going to withstand greater bumps and really have a higher durability level versus some of those more trail-oriented models where you're not going to be hitting bumps as hard as you would in theory with this sled. The other key difference here is going to be the track. With the competition package, we do have a Ripsaw 2. So it is a 2-ply track, and compared to the single-ply track that's on a standard XRS or the other trail models, this is just going to stand up to the harsher conditions of cross-country racing a little better and help alleviate having a stud pull through the track, that being a 2-ply track, just a little bit more rigid and greater resistance to studs pulling through. So that is another key difference. And between the Ripsaw 2 and the regular Ripsaw, the lug pattern is different as well. So this is a little bit stiffer of a lug compared to a Ripsaw. So it does help move snow from having a stiffer lug. So it's a little bit more rigid and helps push that snow. So with that, just a quick walk through some of the highlights and features of the competition package. We'll get more into what we do to modify these sleds. Really, the biggest difference here is going to be rider comfort. And there are some different tricks around the different clutching that we may try for different track conditions. But like I mentioned before, it's a very competitive sled out of the box here. And really, biggest key differences to your standard XRS is going to be those Kashima coated shocks and greater level of adjustability, as well as a little bit stiffer of a rear suspension and just a little bit more bracing back there. But more than capable XRS, a lot of guys will race those in cross country, but just increased level of durability with the competition package versus your standard XRS. So next video to come, we'll be starting to tear this down, going through, adding some different things for it, and we'll be taking you through that journey as well. Thanks, guys.